Good morning, students. Today we are going to study about projectile motion. If you remember, we have already studied about two types of motion, that is rectilinear motion and curvilinear motion. Now, the rectilinear motion was defined as a motion in one dimension where we said that the body will move in straight line. However, when the body undergoes a curvilinear motion, it travels in a plane. We can also call it a plane motion. And if such a motion follows a parabolic path, it is known as a projectile motion, as you can see over here. For example, the path of the football when it is kicked on the ground, or when one of your friend throws a ball from one end of the ground and you catch it. In both these cases, the trajectory of the ball, or you can say the path traveled by the ball, represents a projectile motion, as you can observe over here. The path followed by the ball is somewhat like this, and this is known as projectile. And such a motion will be known as projectile motion. The path that is traveled, or you can say the path of the projectile, is called trajectory, and I have already told you this in previous chapter. Now let us try to understand this thing with use of vectors. Have a look at this particular diagram. Here you can observe that a body has been projected, or you can say has been thrown in horizontal direction from a certain height, and because the body was continuously being acted by the gravitational acceleration, so what happens, instead of moving in a straight line motion in the horizontal direction, the body starts to come down also. So in this particular motion, or we can say, so the path traveled by the body in this particular motion will represent a trajectory, and it will be known as a projectile motion. Let's go by it. Let us consider that a ball is thrown with an initial velocity v1, as you can observe over here, which changes to v2 after a certain interval of time. Now, under acceleration due to gravity, that is small g, what is happening? It's, as I've already told you, that instead of going in the horizontal direction, the ball is also moving downwards. That is, it is also traveling in the vertical direction. That is, because the ball was being acted by the velocities in both the direction, that is horizontal direction and vertically downwards direction, so it follows a curved path. As we can now observe over here, at these 2 points, the velocities will be different. Here the velocity is v1, here the velocity will be v2, and also the direction of the motion is also different. As you can see over here, direction is always taken in a tangential direction. So what are we observing? That the direction of motion is horizontal over here, whereas it is in declining position over here on this particular point. Now the changes in velocity for these 2 points can be calculated by subtracting the initial value from the final value. That is, del v can be given as v2 minus v1. The same thing can be calculated by vectors also, as you can observe over here. v1 was acting in this particular direction, v2 was acting in this particular direction, and by triangle's law of vector, their resultant can be given as del v. Now this del v can be given as v2 plus minus v1. I'm taking this as negative because the direction of v2 and v1 both are different, so we can take it as negative, or we can write it as v2 minus v1. Now what do we observe over here? The direction of del v is same as the direction of g. That means del v will only depend upon the gravitational acceleration, And this also tells us that the horizontal velocity v1 will not be affected by the gravitational acceleration over here. That means that if a ball is dropped from the roof straight down and another ball is thrown in horizontal direction from the roof, they both will take equal time to reach the floor, because when the ball is dropped, the initial velocity is 0, and when the ball follows projectile motion, the motion does not depends upon initial velocity. So in both cases, the net time taken by the ball in order to reach the ground will be equal. I'm repeating this thing because when the ball is dropped, the initial velocity is 0, so it does not play any role over there. However, in a projectile motion, we have initial velocity, but as we have studied over here, or as we have found out over here, the initial velocity is not affected by the gravitational acceleration. So what we can say over here is that the time taken by both the balls to reach the ground will be equal, because in both the cases the motion is not depending upon the initial velocity, or you can say the horizontal velocity. It only depends upon vertical velocity, or you can say it only depends upon gravitational acceleration. However, the distance traveled by the ball in both the cases will be different, or we can say that the ball will strike the ground on two different points, though the time taken by both of them will be same. Students, now let us try to derive an equation for projectile motion. As you can observe in this particular graph itself, we have taken a graph of projectile motion and we are going to study it. As you all can see over here, we have taken a velocity time graph over here where time is on x-axis and velocity is on y-axis. Now, what do we observe? That this particular graph represents a projectile motion where the point of projection is O and an object has been projected from point O at an angle theta with the x-axis with an initial velocity of u. Now, this particular body, after a certain interval of time, it reaches a maximum height p and then again falls down and comes and strikes the point OO dash, which is on the horizontal level of O. However, if the point of projection was at a certain height from the ground, what will happen? The ball will keep on moving downwards also. For example, if we have thrown the ball from the roof and it is going on the ground, so what do we observe? It will continue its motion. So I have represented it here also. Now, let us try to study this particular motion on certain points. At the initial point of the motion, what do we observe? That its velocity will be u and angle of projection is theta. On dissolving into its components, what we can say? The components of u will be ux and uy with respect to angle theta. Now, because the body is observing continuous acceleration, so what do we observe? There will be a change in velocity at any other position on the projectile, or you can say on this particular trajectory. So, taking certain positions we have, suppose that we are trying to study on this position, what do we say? That the velocity of the body at this particular point of time is v, which is working in tangential direction, and its components can be given as Vx and Vy with respect to angle theta. Now, moving further, at the maximum height, what do we observe? That the velocity will be in tangential direction and it will be parallel to x-axis. So, what can we say? That the velocity over here will have only one single component, that is Vx. So, V will be equal to Vx. after this height, after reaching the maximum height, the ball starts to move downwards. On this particular time, we have observed that the velocity is v, which is working in this particular direction tangentially with respect to the angle theta, and Vx and Vy are its components. The same thing we have observed on this particular point also. Let's see some of the things which are important over here. The height of point P from x-axis is said to be height of the projectile motion, or you can say height of the projectile, and is given by small h. The distance from O to O dash is said as the range of the projectile and is given by capital R. The time that will be taken to travel from point O to O dash will be known as the flight time of the projectile. Please note down one thing, that the time taken from point O to reach point P will be same or will be equal to the time taken for the object to reach from point P to point O dash. That means the time taken from here to here will be equal to the time taken from here to here. So let's try to derive an equation for projectile motion. I've already explained you the things. The same thing has been given over here, so I will just read out for you. Suppose a body is projected up with an initial velocity u, as you can observe over here, initial velocity u, in a direction making an angle theta with the horizontal. Let O be the point of projection and OX and OY the horizontal and vertical axis. OX and OY are, this is horizontal axis and this is vertical axis. Resolving u in horizontal and vertical components we have, now for u we have ux and uy. So what we can write it as, we can write ux is equal to u cos theta and uy is equal to u sin theta. Now the body moves under constant gravitational acceleration. I've already told you that the force acting on the body is, that the force which is continuously acting on the body is gravitational acceleration, which is acting vertically downwards. Therefore, the horizontal velocity ux remains unchanged throughout the motion, provided air resistance is negligible. We studied this earlier also, that the horizontal velocity will remain unchanged. However, if there is air resistance or the air or the wind is blowing in opposite direction, then this won't be the case. But vertical velocity Vy changes continuously. Now we all know that since continuously gravitational acceleration is acting on the body, so there will be a change in velocity, that is vertical velocity is continuously changing. So the displacement of the body along horizontal direction after a time t is, we all know that displacement is given as velocity into time. So what we can say over here, that the displacement of the body along horizontal direction, that is with respect to the horizontal velocity, it will be x is equal to ux into time, which can be given as u cos theta into time, because ux was equal to u cos theta, so we have written u cos theta into t. Now from this equation we can write as, we get the value of t is equal to u cos theta upon x. So we had studied about the displacement in horizontal direction. Let's find out the displacement in vertical direction. Now the displacement along the vertical direction can be given as y is equal to u sin theta t minus half gt square. From the second equation of motion, we all know that s is equal to ut plus half at square, and with respect to the gravity, the body is moving upwards, so the value of g will be negative, so we have taken it as y is equal to u sin theta t minus half gt square. Now putting the value of t from the above equation in this equation, we have, you can see the value of t is u cos theta x, u cos theta upon x. So putting this value in this particular equation, what do we get? y is equal to u sin theta into x upon u cos theta. Instead of t we have taken this, minus half g, again instead of t square we have taken x upon u cos theta whole square. Equating this, we get y is equal to x tan theta or tan theta x minus half g x square upon u square cos square theta. What do we observe over here? That this particular equation is linear with respect to y, because we are having the maximum power of y as 1, whereas it is quadratic with respect to x, because the maximum power of x is 2. So what can we say over here? That this equation represents an equation of a parabola. So what we can say, that the motion of the projectile will always be parabolic. Let's move further and study some of the terms related to projectile motion, which I already told you in the graph. We are going to see how we can find their values. First one is flight of projectile. I already told you that the total time taken in the course of projectile motion is known as flight of projectile. So let's see. Suppose the body takes time t to reach the highest point P of its path. See, the body in traveling from point O to point P, that is the highest point, is taking time small t. So at the highest point of the projectile, what do we know? That the horizontal velocity at the highest point is always 0. So we have taken v is equal to vy is equal to 0. So using the first equation of motion, that is v is equal to u minus dt. It is minus over here because the body is moving opposite to the direction of the gravitational acceleration. So putting the values, we have 0 is equal to u sin theta minus gt, and hence t can be given as u sin theta upon g. Now we all know that the time taken to travel from point O to point P will be equal to the time taken from point P to point O dash. So the total time can be given as t is equal to 2 into small t, which is 2 u sin theta upon g. Please note one thing, in the starting itself I have told you that the projectile motion will depend upon the gravitational acceleration, and it will be independent of the horizontal velocity. So in this particular equation we are considering only the y components. Let's come to the next important factor, that is height of projectile. So how can we calculate the height of projectile? Let small h be the vertical height of the highest point P. I have already shown in the graph. Now at P, we already saw in the previous case also, v is equal to vy is equal to 0, u is equal to uy is equal to u sin theta. Again here also, what are we observing? We are taking only the y components. So using the third equation of motion, which is v square is equal to u square minus 2gh, we get 0 is equal to u sin theta whole square minus 2gh. Equating this, we get h is equal to u square sin square theta upon 2g. So this is the equation in order to find out the height of the projectile. However, from this equation, what do we observe? That when the value of theta will be 90 degree, what will be the value of sin theta? It will be 1, and sin square theta will be equal to 1 again. So what we can say, at the value of theta is equal to 90 degree, the height attained will be maximum. That is, the body will go to the maximum height. And this is the reason in high jump competition you must have observed that the athletes throw them upwards, or you can say they try to throw them vertically upwards. in order to attain the maximum height, so that their angle becomes 90 degree with respect to the horizontal. Let's move on to the next thing, which is range of projectile. Now, the body covers a horizontal distance OO dash during its flight. I've already told you this thing in the graph. This distance is called the horizontal range, capital R. Now, R can be given as, you all know that the displacement is given as velocity into time. Now, since we are talking about horizontal range, so here, which is the factor which is responsible for the covering of horizontal range? It is the horizontal velocity. So we are going to take into consideration the horizontal velocity over here. Students, I would like to repeat this thing, that for covering the horizontal distance, horizontal velocity is responsible. So we are taking that into consideration. However, for the projectile motion of the body, gravitational acceleration is responsible. That is the reason, in order to calculate the height of the projectile and the flight time of the projectile, we were using vertical velocity, whereas in order to calculate the range of the projectile, because the range is measured in horizontal direction, we are using horizontal velocity. So as you know, distance is given as, or you can say displacement is given as velocity into time. So horizontal velocity into time of flight will give us the range of the projectile. So horizontal velocity is ux and the time of flight is capital T. We have already seen that ux can be written as u cos theta, whereas t from the previous equation we can write it as 2u sin theta upon g. Equating it, we get r is equal to u square 2 sin theta cos theta whole upon g. Now 2 sin theta cos theta can also be written as sin 2 theta. It is a trigonometric property which you have already studied in elementary mathematics. So r is equal to u square sin 2 theta upon g. Now, for maximum horizontal range, what should be the value of sin 2 theta? It should be equal to 1. Please note here sin will be written over here. So for maximum horizontal range, sin 2 theta will be equal to 1, or you can say 2 theta should be equal to 90. Now if 2 theta is 90, what we can say, the theta should be equal to 45 degrees. So what do we infer from here? That in order to cover the maximum range, the angle of projectile should be exactly equal to 45 degree. That is, r max is equal to u square upon g. So what do we understand from here? That if a football is projected at an angle of 45 degree, it will cover the maximum distance. I'll show you this thing with a diagram later on. Let's move on to the next thing. What will happen if instead of theta we take 90 minus theta? So in this particular equation itself, instead of theta, let's take 90 minus theta. So what do we get? U square sin 2 90 minus theta upon g. Now multiplying this thing or opening the brackets, what do we have? Sin 180 degree minus 2 theta. We all know that sin 180 minus theta can also be written as sin theta. So it becomes equal to u square sin 2 theta upon g. So what do we observe over here? The equation that we got over here and the equation that we obtained over here, both are same. So what does this represent? That whether the angle of projection is theta or 90 minus theta, it does not matter. In both the cases, the horizontal distance traveled will be the same, or the range of projectiles will be the same in both the cases. That is for angle theta and angle 90 minus theta. Let's move on further. Okay, now you will understand this thing in a better manner. See, suppose a football was kept at point 2 and it is kicked from here. Now, if the football was kicked at an angle of 45 degree with the horizontal, what will happen? It will cover the maximum range. As you can observe over here, OO dash shows the maximum range, and because the angle of projection was 45 degrees, so the maximum distance has been traveled over here. However, for the angle of projection is equal to 30 degree, we observe that the range that is being observed over there is that O double dash. At the same time, when the ball was projected at an angle of 60 degree, what are we observing? It is giving us the same range as that for 30 degree. We all know that 60 degree can be represented as 90 minus 30 degree. That is for theta, it can be represented as 90 minus theta. And we have studied that in both the cases, that is theta and 90 minus theta, the range will be same. So that is what we are observing over here. The range is same for both the cases. However, there is going to be one single difference, and that is the time of flight for the angle of projection 60 degree will be more than the time of flight for angle of projection of 30 degree. Till now we have been studying about the motion where the starting position and the ending position, or you can say the entire range of projectile, was lying on the same height or same level. Let's observe what will happen if the point of projection is at a higher point, whereas the end point is taken as a lower point. For example, you stood on the rooftop and threw a ball in this particular direction. Then what will you observe over here? Not even rooftop. If you are standing and throwing something above your head, it may be a basketball, it may be a javelin or a shot put. So what will be observed over here? Now, what do we observe? For same level, if you observe over here, same level, for angle 45 degree, what are we observing? The range is maximum. Whereas for any angle less than 45 degree, the range will be less than less than the maximum one. However, since it will keep on traveling further, so what do we observe? The body or the object, when it was traveling, or you can say when it was projected at an angle of 45 degree, it falls before than the one that was projected at an angle less than 45 degree. So this is the reason that the athletes involved in javelin throw or shot put, or even the person throwing a basketball, will aim for an angle slightly less than 45 degree in order to cover the maximum range. If the angle is more than 45 degree, you all know that it will rise somewhat like this and it will fall like this. So again, what are we observing? That it will fall earlier also. This was for some people who might have confusion. So what do we observe? That for theta less than 45 degree, we will observe the maximum range when the point of projection is situated at a certain height from the ground. The same thing has been written over here. This figure shows that if the body is projected from a certain height above the surface of Earth, then for maximum range, the angle of projection should be slightly less than 45 degree. Thank you.